Call the meeting to order for the regular council meeting for Monday, April 18th. We'll start with a prayer by Mr. Mike Barth.
Gracious Heavenly Father, we just come to you now and just ask for guidance and just be with us as we go through these council proceedings and ask you to be with us through this decision making. We ask you to watch over our townsfolk and people here in this meeting. We ask you to watch over those who have lost loved ones this week and just be with them and guide them in each and every way as you do. Thank you for all that you do. Please bless this community and this council and all its personnel. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Barth.
Here.
Bassett. Egley.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
Clipper.
Here.
And Beverly's absent, and Bassett is acting mayor.
Thank you. Kurt Collins from Hicksville Community Fund Foundation. Would you like to step up to the podium and like to update about the splash pad project?
Sure.
Until the next meeting.
Absolutely. And you guys want to pass those out? They're just kind of nothing official. This is just, kind of official, I guess. Yeah, so my name is Kurt Collins, and I'm here on behalf of the Hicksville Community Fund. And I understand Jim and Karen Schmidt were here a couple weeks ago to talk a little bit about the proposed splash pad. It sounded like it was a pretty positive response and something that everyone was welcoming. So I guess I'm here today to answer follow-up questions and ask for approval of our location and see if you can help us get this thing going. So that first page, again, that's just kind of a general splash pad picture that one of our splash pad companies provided to us to give you an idea what it could look like. But I guess to give you a little background about how we got to this location, I have been involved in the Hicksville splash pad conversation since 2018. And when I called the local splash pad rep, he said he was actually out here in 2016 and went with a group of people around the park. So this conversation has been going on for a long time. And recently we were approached by a donor who would like to put $200,000 towards a splash pad into Hicksville, and we want to use that money to get this going and make something happen. So as far as that location goes and kind of the conversation about the splash pad over the last couple of years, there were a couple of things that we kept hearing. What kind of system are you going to use? So finally we kind of decided that we want to use the recirculatory system, and that's the system that recycles the water. It's going to be more environmentally friendly. It's going to be a lower annual cost. And it's also going to we expect it to have a better rate of return over the long run. So the, I guess, kind of kicker with having that recirculatory system is you're going to have a pump house and a bathroom attached to it. So if we're going to go this route, we know that we're going to have a structure. So what we're looking at is if we're going to build a structure, how can we use it to benefit the most people? One of the other things that goes back and forth is what's going to happen with the pool. Are we going to fill it in? Are we going to revitalize it? No one knows. I don't really expect a decision to be made anytime soon. But if we have to build a structure, how can we build it to benefit the most people, and how can we use it to support the pool, or that general area, no matter what direction it goes? So that's kind of how we landed on that corner of for those of you who can't see it, it's basically, I guess, to be the northeast corner of the green space next to the pavilion. So it kind of butts up between the track and the tree line there. And our thoughts with that are, I guess, first coming back to building a structure and what may happen with the pool. If they ever decide to fill in the pool, that area is going to need potentially a restroom, changing room for baseball, things like that. So we're hoping that maybe the structure could be included in that. If a decision was ever made to revitalize the pool, kind of same concept. We thought it'd be really nice to have everything together, make that a nice area, and make it fit together nicely. So those were just a few of the ways that we got to that decision. There were obviously a lot of other factors. It sounds like the track may potentially need a restroom as well. I don't know that for sure. I talked to Keith Countryman, and they had a board meeting today, but that was another thing, is if we could build this and the track needs a bathroom, that's a location that maybe they could utilize that changing room bathroom as well. So what we have there is just kind of a space where we think is a good fit, and we're looking for about 10,000 square feet. And we would like the village to provide the inputs for the water, sewer, electrical, things like that, and get it going, so. It's a quick version.
So when they were here last, they were kind of talking about having the splash pad closer to Froggy Park, so that's changed since then?
You know, yeah. I mean, we're kind of open, whatever, but we kind of went back and forth with a couple different things. I mean, a big selling point of that Froggy Park was the ability to have the bathrooms there, but now that we're going to have to build another structure, I don't know how practical it would be to try and reuse that. As a parent, I like the proposed location because it's more central to the park. You know, if I'm over at the Little League field, sending my kids over to Froggy Park by themselves is a pretty big place to go, but, you know, especially being next to the road, the basketball court, I know you guys had some conversation about the clientele at the basketball court may bring, and I just would feel more comfortable with my kids central. Another thing we think is just an opportunity. I mean, if they decide to revitalize the pool, or even if they don't for a couple of years, there's splash pads going up all around, and for us to have something that attracts older kids and younger kids together, I think when, you know, I mean, my wife and kids, they go to Defiance, they go to Leo, they drive around to go to these things. So to have something with a pool is going to attract a lot more people, and who knows, maybe that will spark interest in revitalizing the pool. The other thing we look at is the pavilion usage. You know, if people could, I mean, I guess I don't know for sure what that gets rented out for now, but I know I attend like family reunions there and stuff like that, which the building itself is not real appealing to small children, but if you could have a splash pad there, you know, child birthday parties, and then again, you got the pool, stuff like that, I think that opens up a whole new demographic for that area of the pool. So again, just a few things that kind of drew us to that area.
Another question. Being a part of this property, I call it the Doden Pavilion
Sure.
property,
Yeah.
you spoke with the family and
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
they're okay with.
Yep, absolutely. So, yeah, there's always been this thing that can it be built on, can it not be built on, and no one has been able to provide any information either way. So I guess my thought would be to be prudent, and I happen to be related to, I'm married to Raleigh's youngest granddaughter, Lisa, and I just went out to the family and I asked, there's 3 kids, and I asked them all the same question. I showed them that same packet, and I said, do you think your mom and dad would support this? And this is 2 out of 3. I'll come back to that here in a second. And they said, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I said, would you support this? Yeah, absolutely. The 2 I talked to thought that their parents would support that overwhelmingly. Neither one of them knew anything about that document. So not to say it doesn't exist, but, and I would definitely never want to dishonor someone who, you know, made that kind of donation, but the fact is no one has been able to produce these documents. So I think the thing to do is to approach the family. As per the other family member, Raleigh's son, he recently lost his son unexpectedly, and then he had some health issues too, and they both said that unless you absolutely need to talk to him, I don't think now's a good time. So if that's a deal breaker, we can do it, but 2 out of 3 overwhelmingly support it, and yeah.
Do you have a total cost for the building and?
There's a lot of variables. So that splash pad right there, when we went to the company, Vortex, and they are the ones that did Leo, Defiance, New Haven, Nay, I mean, all the splash pads, Bowling Green, Auburn. We basically said we're looking at about a $500,000-$600,000 splash pad. What they showed there is a $500,000 splash pad, and that's actually going near the Little League World Series Park in Pennsylvania, and that's what they said. They said their budget was $500,000 for that. Now we're talking about adding in a changing room and potentially area to grow and use it for other space, so it could add. And I would say, you know, it could get up to $1 million. I mean, it could be more. The thing is, the response has been so positive with people wanting to do donations that this family who originally started was kind of like, we'll throw in $200 and just build us a splash pad, and then the foundation kind of involved and it kind of multiplied, and as long as people show interest, and no reason to cap it, I guess.
Yeah.
As much as we can raise.
I met with Vortex back in 2016.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, Mike was the guy's name that came out.
Yep.
And
Same one?
Same guy?
Yep.
Yeah, he came out and gave a quote. I mean, of course, back then it was a lot smaller
Sure.
scale, and we were trying to use money we had a grant through the state for to do it, and of course it was a lot smaller than this. And so, were you guys looking for all the funds to build everything, all donated money, or were you looking for the village to pay anything towards it? Because I know Troy was going to look into that, I think, after
And
two
I'm
meetings ago.
still waiting on some information from her I get, but I did correspond with Taylor, and my concerns obviously is even with the group like that, it's still village land, it's still a village project, so we have to follow certain rules. Now the way, because the question came up, well, we want to pick, what company, whether it's this one or somebody else, we want to pick what company it is. And so what I did was I went back to Defiance and I started, asking questions over there like, hey, how'd you guys do it? And it's not used as often places around here as it is in some of the bigger cities, but there is a procedure rather than bidding jobs where it's similar to like state purchasing. If you use state purchasing for things like we do for vehicles, sometimes stuff, you don't have to do the bid stuff. Well, what you can do is there's basically some formal opinion that said you can use cooperative purchasing if somebody else in the state already has an agreement with a contractor, basically, or whoever, then other people that belong to the same cooperative can use that and can select from that, and it's like you're using state purchasing to do stuff like this. So in Defiance's case, they've had 2 or 3 jobs where they were real specific jobs, and they wanted to use a specific person or company or whatever. So what they did was they even had to go and, for whatever the little fee was, join the whatever cooperative, so that then they could say, well, we're part of that cooperative, we can use company X in order to do our whatever. That's what they did with Vortex. They joined whatever some group that Vortex was already a part of, said they're part of the cooperative, we're just going to contract with them and use them. Dot the I's, cross the T's, all that goes with that. They were supposed to be forwarding me some information on how all that works and how they did it or whatever, but that's the way around the public bidding portion of the project. But it still is, and I asked them what they did over there, and there was a group that solicited donations and got a bunch of individual and corporate donations or whatever. All those donations were taken in the name of the city, actually, and because it was in the name of the city, that permits the same type of tax deduction that donating to a 501c3 does, because it was for charitable purposes or whatnot. So there was a group, I forget what they called it, and as I recall, it was a bunch of young ladies that basically headed it up, and they went out and solicited and got corporate donations, and then individuals could donate it, but all the donations were made in to the city of Defiance, and then it was held there, but they were directed that they had to be used for that project. And then the city obviously paid a good portion, besides, I think it was about a 50-50 deal, as I recall. 50% of the money was raised and 50% the city. And they may even have sold some bonds or something like that in order to finance some of what was in there to, to get the money and then pay it back over time. But I'm supposed to be getting some information from some of the people there that show exactly how that process works. So if we want to do something like that, we can. And I know, I'm sure the other groups do, but like this group here, they've done it, like he said, all over the place. And I'm sure they're probably more familiar with how that situation works, because that's how they get business, obviously. And there's not that many companies that do. I mean, we could put out a solicitation for bids, and we might be lucky to get 2 people respond to it. So.
I have another question. With the amount of use that these usually attract and everything, would we entertain looking at additional parking along the pavilion parking lot closer towards the proposed location? I like the location personally.
It doesn't seem a little far.
I'm just thinking maybe you have grandparents taking their kids to some of these places, if they can pull up, maybe they need to get out with different apparatuses or whatever, but, we've dealt with this a little bit with Little League, for parents watching, grandparents watching, if they didn't have to get out of a car and watch their grandkids play and still be able to be there with them, I think would be a definite attraction for them and part of the whole process.
Yeah, I definitely think it'd be nice to maybe add some additional handicap parking, like on the far, I guess, east side of that, towards that area. I mean, that's one way to do it. The other thing is, and that's going to be one of those things that once we get this, that's going to be kind of part of the next step. I guess some of the negatives we've heard about that spot is, Part of it is the parking, and the pavilion use, and how when the pavilion is being used, they have to block that off, and it kind of causes some congestion over there. One area that I guess rattling around my brain, I haven't talked to anybody else about it, is if we could kind of make like a main entrance type thing with, I don't know, like an arch, and kind of encourage people to come in through the far side, that may kind of alleviate some over there. But yeah, we're gonna need to get some handicap parking spots out there and make it more accessible. And the other thing is this walking trail too. That might make it a little more appealing for people to park over by the softball fields, depending on, if we could work with them to lay it out and make it all just kind of flow together.
Makes sense, sure. Thanks.
I was at one of the foundation's meetings, but that was one of the things with shooting with that higher, kind of the $1 million goal, is going to need to be some hardscape improvements and that sort of thing. I think the one ask was that for the goal is to raise it to 100%, right? All fundraise, not asking commitments from the village, but getting utilities up to that point. So we've got water main and everything through the main drive, but actually getting the utilities up to a connectivity point where, like Vortex or Pinchura or whoever, most of those guys, it's just like we're 5 feet from the outside is where we'll stop. So I think that was kind of will probably be one of the asks. Is I think 150 feet of sewer and water, and getting electric to those points.
Yep.
I think the other one off the top of my head was initially they asked for us to relocate the basketball court. I mean, so there's going to be a cost there that we might not have to do, that maybe we could add parking. I mean, you're adding blacktop, but you're not removing the basketball court either to help out with parking. You ever get a price on that from anyone?
No, just as I started to, the plans changed.
Oh, I knew you had a meeting that one day and going up there, but
Yeah. Is this proposed location set in stone?
Doesn't have to be. I mean, we're open to suggestions, but I guess we've been hearing suggestions for a long time, so.
you would know more like water, sewer.
Sure.
Approximately, what's the closest thing there, or electrical.
The new 200 amp service there at the tennis court. And we got water and sewer. Water runs along the road there that's like a white line. Looks like that's North Bryan Street. Say it's North Bryan Street. Water's right there. Sewer's about 35 feet from there.
How about
into it.
How about that drain line you just, that storm that you guys
Runs
just
along
dug
those
up?
pine trees there.
I do know one of the doting kids, because I asked them about moving it closer to the road, and they thought it was important to kind of maintain that green space out there, and I agree with that, as much as you can, but,
Yeah.
because I know Corey and I had talked to, and, I know he likes the idea of having it a little closer to the road, and I don't think it's set in stone, but.
That space is utilized by like
Yeah.
baseball, especially the younger groups. They use that kind of open field when there's dual practices going on and they might not get the field.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we would want to keep everything north of that pavilion, that little pavilion that's there, and kind of in that area that we don't feel is real overpopulated or overused.
So you have some scheduled meetings with these companies?
We're meeting with one company tomorrow, Pinchura. We're just going to do kind of a site walk and see if they have any ideas or suggestions on things, but.
So as far as next steps, you need the village to basically bless the location. and
Pretty-
then figure out basically what the logistics are to enter into a design contract, right?
Yes, exactly.
Unfortunately, I don't know if we can vote on anything tonight since there's not enough of us here. We don't have a quorum, so.
We have a quorum. You can't do anything, you can't suspend the rules like
Okay.
on resolutions
For
and
that
stuff
emergency
like
one?
that.
Okay.
Yeah, you have a quorum, I mean, I guess if you wanted to.
What are your guys' thoughts?
All for it.
yeah, I think if we do have it there, it solves some of the issues we had and the costs with redoing the basketball court. If someday the pool gets revitalized, it's all gonna be together. So,
I guess formal vote on that.
Got a motion?
Approve the proposed location.
a second.
So we got a first and a second for the proposed location for a splash pad. Roll call?
Barth,
Yes.
Clipper,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Egley.
Yes.
We have the blessing for the location, so.
All right.
keep moving forward.
All right, well, I appreciate it.
Love the idea and love all the time you guys spend doing this, so.
All right.
And whoever anonymously donated that kind of money or willing to, that's awesome. Appreciate it.
We're trying to make the most out of it, so.
Yep.
All right, hey, thank you guys, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yep, have a good night.
Yeah, it's Kirk, K-I-R-K,
Yeah.
like C-O-L-L-I-N-S. All right.
The next one, not on the agenda, but we're gonna bring them up next. Amanda and Justin, I believe, Davis, for a Rooted Shop. You guys have an event coming up this summer.
So you'd like to, I'm Amanda Davis, I own the Rooted Shop, and our idea was first to do a fashion show, legit, and we didn't want to we want it to be kind of on the main drag, so we kind of wanted to think about doing a whole event rather than just being this fashion show, so it'd be like a whole day kind of festival or whatever we want to come up with and talk to the community about it, but our fashion show would be just part of that, since it's we kind of thought about doing it in the first place. And then we would have a band afterwards. Once we were done, the band would kind of come out and that kind of stuff. So we would like to do it right in front of our shop, so that the girls could change, and there'd be 50 or so outfit changes or so. So that's kind of.
So we're targeting late June. I'm not sure when the day in the park is. Is that 25th?
Yep.
Okay.
Just to try to get a whole big.
So we might, if we don't care if it's on the same day or not, but if it makes sense to do an extension of that, where it's bringing people in for the whole day, we could do that, or we could bump it the weekend after or before. We're not set on that.
No date. It's just
But we want
format,
to open it up to. We'd like to close it down enough that obviously she can do the fashion show, but enough that we could have vendors in. Is farmers market that day too?
Every Saturday, yeah.
Okay, so we would probably talk with Kelsey then and see if it would make sense to bring those vendors downtown if we could get enough of it closed off, and then also open it up for the restaurants if they wanted to bring a truck out or whatever. Basically, include everybody that wants, just like Ladies Night that we've been doing for the past couple months. We've gotten a tremendous response. Business owners, without naming names, have said they've gotten more foot traffic on that night than they had all week. So it's worked. So we kind of want to take that and just ramp it up a little bit.
Just like other, Defiance has the Lilac and the Rib Fest, we kind of want to make it away from Oktoberfest so that we can all, that's one thing, but then we can also have maybe a summer event that Hicksville kind of does.
So you guys are definitely looking to blocking off the main state route.
We would like to.
That's
just,
what, I don't know the process of that. I'm glad Mr. Denning's here.
We're here, we don't know either.
Yeah, it's her idea, and I'm trying to help facilitate.
I know we've had Summerfest before and the car show downtown and they blocked it off.
Yeah.
But I don't know the
After.
process of all
you guys
this.
hanging around for the whole meeting? Afterwards, I'll talk to you about
Okay.
something I've
Yeah,
been kicking around.
not sure, we'll probably have to notify the state highway,
Right.
because there would probably have to be some type of detour route.
Do you guys have a time frame at all? Like start time and end time or?
We would like ours to be more 6 o'clock, the fashion show, so it's not super hot. And then the band, once we're done, everyone's gonna be there. We were gonna set chairs up, and we're not gonna have a full-blown stage, this year especially since it's our first year. But we would like a lit path, where we would do whatever we could for the girls. Yeah. Yes. And
We don't
but then the band would be more at night, and then right there in front as well. So
for the show to be around 6, and then if everyone wants to hang out, who's the band?
I mean, we've talked to the one.
Yeah, so if we wanted to do that.
I don't know any
to
other
make
about
it,
Yeah.
something that people could hang out at, great. If not, that's fine too. But then if it's a day in the park, that's where if there's stuff that happens before that could kind of fill.
Like a
and then
whole big
if
day.
food vendors were there, our part would be more towards the evening. But if we wanted to make it a bigger deal, we could.
The festival in the park goes till 9, The band comes in
Yeah.
on at 6 and plays till 9.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys plan on serving alcohol or having alcohol? I think we have to.
We are, but like,
We
if
won't.
Two Bandits is involved or something, that is gonna, we don't know any of the
I have a
law.
question, Chief. So are you allowed to do like a temporary, have you heard of the door zones where
Yeah,
they're
there's a
designated
door.
outdoor refreshment
Well, problem
areas?
is, didn't we veto that down?
It never went any farther here.
Never went any farther, so technically, no, you can't bring it outside the establishment.
Unless you get a one-day permit for, and you block off and you have somebody,
Yeah.
about like the day in the park where you
Have
have a
they
designated
ever done
area.
it downtown ever, like kitchen post days or I feel like
There's been
there's
events.
been events.
Not an alcohol, the alcohol had to stay inside the Huber parking lot when they did that.
Well, Hoptober, the original
Yeah,
first
that one they-
Fest was a temporary event. So it's not necessarily a DORA, it's more, so you can establish a DORA where it's like special custom things.
Then you can do it all the time.
Yeah, all the
You do a
time.
one-time, so you do a one-time liquor license that would be, like,
Yeah.
alcohol would be supplied by, just like any other festival anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll,
I
we'll
think
leave
we-
that to the experts that serve the news.
Yeah, they would need to apply for a liquor permit.
Soon, if it's
So
gonna be in
actually, it
June.
would probably be.
Not too long.
Usually
If
2
Two
weeks prior.
Bandits is involved, it would probably have to be Two Bandits applying for that.
Right,
Yeah.
Not.
and they can.
Well, there's other downtown businesses
Right.
that have liquor license though, and they might
But
want
you
to.
can't have a.
They can't share.
They can't.
No.
Yeah.
Well, if they
One
have
of the
their
other
own,
areas.
though, like Lapidus has their own, and they might want to. You
Inside.
can't share areas. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so with
Oh,
public
okay.
ground, like,
I
so with
gotcha.
public area.
What is
Yeah.
it?
You
Is it
can't
like a
go around.
radius if they put out like some tables and stuff and somebody has a Corona from Lapidus sitting there, that's okay.
Well, if they stay on their sidewalk in
Basic-
front of their place.
Yeah.
If they
that's what I
stay,
thought.
yeah,
Yeah.
if they stay in their street, their designated street area, it works, but if not, then it,
Yeah.
like,
Like for day in the
They have
park,
to
wouldn't
apply
be
for,
applied.
Obviously,
it's
when
like
it's-
a one-day extension of their already existing license where they can do it at a quote, off-premises location, but they still have to designate what that location is, and it still has to be like roped off or,
Yeah.
gated off, and, and it can only stay in there, you can't wander.
Yeah.
Mr. Ron will be able to help you out if you guys stick around, because he's filled out the application before and-
Okay.
and
Yeah.
helped him out.
Thank you.
So he'll know that part.
I guess
Just wanted to bring it up and see, make sure you guys were aware that we're trying to do something.
Yeah, we have a beautiful downtown.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see, you're kind of taking initiative to bring people back to downtown
Yeah,
and.
it's a lot of fun. You
Years
guys
ago,
might-
they've had some sidewalk sales over the years and tried different things like the car show and, it worked for a while and it kind of went to the wayside, but, Corey's doing a great thing with the Day in the Park, but, we've talked about other opportunities and options and, it's bringing the people, town folk together, but bringing people from out of town here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be the goal. to
Highlight
do
our
a bigger-
community.
A little bit bigger event, bringing outside people. Yeah.
And your ladies' night out, I walked out of my shop about 6 o'clock, and I'm like, what is going on? There's cars everywhere, and I kept looking
I know.
around, there's a group of women here, and ladies there.
Hasn't
and
even been warm.
It's ladies' night, yeah, they were.
It's ladies'
But thank you for doing that, it's helped the downtown area and the businesses, so.
It's been fun.
I think it's a great idea. You definitely got my support. I don't know about the rest, I can't necessarily speak for the rest of council, but I definitely think it's an event
I
that.
agree, it's a great idea. The issue is if we close down all that parking, we need to figure out a way that we can inform people of where they can park, because
Right.
if it draws as much as it could, every spot's gonna be filled.
Right, and
We
ladies'
don't want
night
people
alone.
saying we can't find parking, we're not
Hard to-
gonna go.
Good thing we have the hyper reach up and going.
We actually
Well, we
marked,
almost need like a PDF map of where, because we have so many different
Yeah.
places that
Yeah.
we potentially could, if we got permission from the churches for their lots.
We have more downtown parking now than we did during Hitchin Post. We built that parking lot behind the Huber there, plus we got back behind the,
The bank, Hicksville Bank.
Yeah, there's way
Do we own
more.
that behind the Hicksville Bank? though?
No.
We
See,
do,
that's.
we do what we want.
No,
Tow company could have a heyday. At least. I'm sure that they
There's
give us
parking.
permission on a Saturday
Yeah,
night.
there's
Yeah.
parking
So,
available
yeah.
that
Well, I-
wasn't
yeah.
before.
Yeah, I think it's a big, obviously those all go into coordination and kind of what you guys are expecting from an attendance standpoint, so I think that's,
Well, we'll figure out, Corey will talk with you and see what's going on there and then try to lock down a date and go from there. So, with blocking the street off, what do we need for that specifically? To talk with you still?
Mhm.
Okay.
I think the big thing, yeah, the big thing is just notifying the state
Yeah, you
highway.
gotta go through the state, because that's considered a state route.
Just
Okay.
getting their blessing on it.
So,
Doable?
It's more of a formality, isn't it? Just kinda doing stuff in timely manner and getting the notification out there ahead of time and.
Yeah, it's because you want to probably start that process now, because I think it's got to be so many days for them, then they're going to have to put up detour signs, for that day, for the trucks and stuff to follow.
Thank you. Any other questions for them? Cool. Thank you. Wish your guys' business the best of luck.
Appreciate it, thanks.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of April 4th regular council meeting minutes. Copy is in your packet. Are there any additions or corrections?
Make a motion to approve as written.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call?
Klepper,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Egley,
Yes.
Barth.
Yes.
We got the bills in the packet. Are there any questions on the bills?
I had a question about the $1,600 worth of park doggy bags. I assume those are for waste?
I'm assuming there's more stuff on that credit card that was used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope.
About
Yeah.
6th or 7th one down on the first page. Premier card. So that's a lot of doggy bags.
Yeah. You get 120 of them for like $5. And I know we have, I think, is there more than
Got a
one
lot of them.
location?
It's a
that-
20-year.
It should never run out.
Yeah.
They'll degrade by then.
Yeah, it only shows one thing, but it was a lot more than that.
I trust you.
Any other questions on the bills?
Did we get the signs and barricades? Did we need some updating, or what all did we get there?
There were signs for the park, speed limit signs, handicap signs, some updated park rules signs.
Some fees for parking
Yeah, $250.
or handicap.
Yep, fine. Just stuff that we were low on inventory.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Got a motion? We got a second?
Second.
Motion, a second to pay the bills. Roll call?
Barth,
Yes.
Egley,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Klepper.
Yes.
There was like $3,000 a year set aside.
We have boards and commissions. HIX-TV board met on March 12th. The minutes are in your packet. Mike, would you like to committee right now?
Read it over.
Or anyone have any questions about the HIX-TV minutes?
I'll make a little plug. I know we've kind of started a new rate card and working with companies and businesses and different things to do some underwriting within the HIX-TV. It's not really full-blown advertisements. You see commercials on TV, but they help underwrite the different sporting events and the plays and different things that HIX-TV covers. So you can promote your company through the underwriting, and it's got several different packages. So if you are interested in doing that, get a hold of Bill Murphy or one of the committee people. They'll get you to the right direction on that, and trying to make it streamlined where you get so many different underwriting for so much money kind of thing. So I know Bill's been working hard on that kind of aspect and going out and videoing different aspects of the community. I know he was at the last Good Friday service at Cornerstone Church and provided that live stream, I believe. And not only are we with MediaCom, we're also with SMTA now. I think that's going at full capacity, I believe, and working with Rick on that. But he's on Facebook, YouTube, 4 different kind of avenues where you can reach out and watch HIX-TV and the different programs. So, any questions?
Thank you, Mike. There's no other questions. Next one is council committee reports. There's no minutes in the packet. I don't think anyone met since last time. Administrator's report, Corey.
I'll briefly hit on some of this. We did have a drainage problem there in the pavilion yard, which we were able to rectify that. We did discover that there is quite a bit of tiling in that yard, obviously because it was a farm field at one time, so there's still a lot of active tiles in that yard. The sinkhole down on 308 South Main Street, that has been repaired and will be paved yet early this summer. The big thing is our HyperReach alert system is officially live. I looked today, even though we really haven't advertised it much yet, we do have 59 people signed up for it, which is good. There is information on the village website that gives you all the options to sign up for it. There's some pamphlets around town as well. There should be something in the Tribune this Wednesday about it as well.
Have you talked with Dawn on getting that with the water bill, putting that on the water bill?
Yep. I've started to go around town, and there's just a ton of spots that's going to be repaired yet on the side streets. We got a lot of asphalt work that needs to be done. We are going to widen the Wendell Avenue and Edgerton Street intersection that leads down to Hirschberger Foods there. I'm sure everybody has seen that intersection where it's just a big muddy mess. Spoke with the county engineer about the widening of Usauergon, how it could propose a real problem if CSX isn't done, and if they have to shut down that intersection for any time at all. I mean, that takes the route going west completely away, so we'll have to work with Ward Construction on that. Joel Jacob will start Wednesday as our new wastewater superintendent. We officially sent in all the paperwork to the EPA today. Well, he will be our new operator of record. The EPA notified me last week they are going to officially now look at our amendment, and they've had it for quite a while. Wellfield project, it's obviously been a slow go because it's a muddy mess back there. Water tower, we won't know until May if we receive this grant, and I think the grant's for 700 and some thousand, so fingers crossed that we get that. The PTI for that, I know Taylor had asked me about it. It does expire March of 2025, so we've got quite a bit of time yet to start the groundbreaking on that. Other than that, that's really all I got. And at some point, maybe now, is I'd like to recommend a new hire for the part-time cleaning position, which would be Tiffany Kenner.
That's part-time custodian or whatever, janitor.
Yep. All of her paperwork and stuff has come back, so just waiting on.
Any questions,
Everything's
Mark?
come back.
Oh, has it? Okay.
Her drug screen, physical, background check come today.
Okay. I make a motion to approve Tiffany Kenner as a part-time janitor. Do roll call for that. We got a motion. We got a second.
Motion, the mayor's recommendation. You do it.
Yeah, I guess that was my
I'll do
recommendation.
a motion, you do a recommendation.
Okay, that sounds better.
A second.
Roll call.
Klepper,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Barth.
Yes.
Egley.
Yes.
When would her start date be? Did you say?
She'll probably be tomorrow. Tomorrow or Wednesday.
Okay. Good. Glad you found somebody.
Quick question. Is the state coming, where does, the state stops at the Catholic Church, right?
Yep. Coming in from the west, they'll stop
Coming
there,
from
and
the west
coming
there.
up from the south, they'll stop there.
Do we have any money to look at the section from Main to Bryan Street? I haven't seen any markings on that road. I don't know that area is going to really survive another winter. So I didn't know if that's in the area that you're looking at.
You mean like down by in front of Fisher's house?
Yeah.
Yeah, the markings have all washed away, but yeah, they're all
Okay,
marked.
so that area is going to get
The
addressed.
county, what I'm doing is I'm gonna piggyback off the county, and they're gonna come and do what they call spray patching. And that there should buy us enough years, so when the state comes through to do that, that's what a lot of our side streets are gonna get.
Yeah, I just saw that, I didn't see markings there. I've seen markings all
there's-
around town. I hope we hit that area.
They're marked if you go by real slow and take a look, but the rain's washed a lot of those marks off.
Fisher sprayed them off.
You might have.
There's a car in it, one
Who's
hole.
got that? Is that us? No, it's the state.
Any other questions for the administrator?
That, like little lane you guys put in for the well field construction, is there a drainage tile or anything in there, or is it just stone?
Not yet. That's just a temporary.
Okay. So you guys plan on putting in something a little better than that?
Yeah, Brian excavating one.
Okay.
Yep, yep, the permanent one will have a culvert in it.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you, Corey. Solicitor's report.
Ordinance 2022-05, first reading by caption only, an ordinance approving the annexation of 8.452 acres of land from Hicksville Township to the Village of Hicksville on petition by Hicksville Health Facilities LLC, declaring an emergency, but we don't have enough people to suspend the rules. But we do have time. I looked it up while we were sitting here. We had to wait 60 days, but it has to be done within 120, so we can do it at the next meeting.
May 2nd meeting.
Yeah, it'll be
Okay.
fine. So on that, and we'll still be within all the time frames, and we can get that done. I'll probably just, since Taylor and I have been communicating about the issue on how to do the splash pad stuff, I'll probably just keep, when I get that information, send it along to him, and then we can work with the committee and do whatever we need to do when we get to that point, as far as if, they come to somebody that they think's appropriate to use, what we need to do in order to be able to follow that process and do that. I know the mayor, I tried calling the mayor, and obviously he's on vacation. He had texted me, I wasn't at the last meeting because my whole family was sick, but and I don't know exactly what was said about the opioid settlement money, and he had texted me saying that we needed to pass something in order to share in it. And actually, the lady who is like the regional representative from the Ohio Attorney General's office goes around the, whatever, I can't even think what her name is. She was in Defiance, like right around there, and we talked to her or whatever, and she said she checked with them as far as she was aware of. Nobody needed to do any additional legislation at this point, so I was going to ask him what his impression was that we still needed to do, but...
So just to refresh on that, the county was asking us to contribute our funds to Defiance County.
Okay.
And basically, so then they
Yeah,
could
no
pool the funds together to...
Pool them together, okay, or whatever, so,
Yeah.
okay.
It sounded like if it was under $500, we don't even get asked, it automatically went to them.
Oh, yeah.
But ours is like 602 or
Okay.
something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to them. I know he mentioned Mick, and he mentioned something about the mayor of Defiance, and so I talked to Sean O'Donnell, the law director, and he said, well, I mentioned something to the mayor, and he didn't act like he, like, whatever. So I wanted to make sure but whatever we need to do, obviously, we can get.
I think the other concern was, what are we going to get out of it? I mean,
It was not very much, as I saw. It was like $600 and some a year for
18 years?
18 years, something like that. I mean,
Well, and I think one of the things that was missed also is that's not
It's a year.
guaranteed. They're actually predicting that those companies will go bankrupt, and by year 10 we may get nothing.
right.
Oh.
So it's not even, like, even though there's a large amount at the end of 18 years, like, and the number, they had actually updated the number, we got the email that the number was updated. That was based on the fact that they thought maybe they had like 75%, but now they're like, oh no, you can go ahead and guarantee this year you're good, the first year. But yeah, after that, every year will be potentially different.
So, okay. Well, I'll follow up with them and whatever we need to do.
Is that the updated amount? Because he called me the next day or the...
Yeah, that was the updated amount that I think that,
said they found out they're getting more.
yeah.
I think the email was, instead of 602, it was like 652.
Yeah, it was something,
Yeah, it
it
was
wasn't,
substantial.
it wasn't substantially different.
I don't believe so.
And it was yearly, not a monthly.
Right.
Yeah.
Another thing on your radar, so part of the Trail Association, it's going to be the same thing as the splash pad,
Right.
as far as the organization's basically a separate entity. But when it comes to the construction side of things, how does that all work when it's 3 different entities? So if it crosses the county property, village property, and
Probably have to incorporate it all. Yeah, whoever is,
and just basically write access easements into everything into
Yeah,
perpetuity. And,
yeah, probably.
Okay.
And then as far as the project itself, it'll probably have to be like a joint project or something, or, this portion of it is a village project, but you'll want to coordinate it all. This portion is a county park project or whatever, whoever's all involved. But yeah, it'll take some coordination. But yeah, you would want to have some type of agreements in place so that, you know, say the maintenance 10 years from now, the village is like, yeah, this is great, we're keeping it up, and the county park board's like, we're done, you know, or whatever, just tear it out, just rip it out.
Well, the goal is for the trail, basically, so they're in the process of setting up a 501c
Right.
for maintenance. They can
Right.
take in donations
Yeah.
and do all that stuff for the
Sure.
trail maintenance. So maintenance isn't the issue. It's just how do you actually go about getting it constructed?
Yeah.
That was one of the questions. So I guess, yeah, keep that.
Yeah,
in
and we
radar
can
as
work
well.
with all those entities, so.
Okay.
Anything else for Troy? Nope. Department heads, police chief, got anything?
One thing I really got is last Wednesday, we observed a leak in our roof. So, we have, is it Buckeye? Coming on the 25th to take a look at it to see what it is and see what it's going to cost to fix it. So Corey looked at it. He didn't think probably going to take a whole lot to fix it.
There's a rooftop unit there.
Oh.
Gas lines running up through there.
No.
The
So-
roof's like old bacon.
You can't flex seal.
We'll see.
I feel like this is the third meeting Flex Seal has been mentioned.
Not the pool.
Yeah, just go for it.
Anytime we talk about roofs or pools.
You got anything else, chief?
No, that's it, unless you got questions. So,
Thanks.
I was gonna say, I was kinda interested if the money does, back to that money, if it goes back to the county, what would their intentions, or how would they distribute it back?
that's what I asked the mayor. I said, why do they plan
I'd
on
be
doing it?
interested in seeing if they pool our money, then how's it redistributed back within the agency?
Because I'm afraid
but the
that
county.
we're gonna get left behind, but I wanna know what they're going to do with the money
Right, I
before,
agree with that.
I think, before we decide if we
Where
want
it goes.
If they're gonna buy in bulk and split up between all the departments, I mean,
You know,
countywide.
But if it'll buy us certain things to fight the opioid crisis,
Right.
you know, I think we go with between the fire department, us, street departments, you know, buying Narcan, you know,
Well,
I think.
with that proposed amount, could you come up with some sort of idea on what you would do with that?
Well, my first thought right now would be to buy the Narcan.
How much does that, like, what would $600 get us?
I'm not sure. Our last Narcan that we got was donated to us, so I don't know what they paid. So I'd have to find out what the cost is. Scott might have an idea.
I'm not sure what it is either.
So buying it through the thing. The last Narcan we got, it was donated to us, so.
Does that have an expiration date on it? I mean, is that,
Yes.
I think it did
yeah.
come through them last time, yeah.
So, but I'm not sure. I know we talked about too, whatever, I'm not sure.
I'm thinking $70 or $80 a shot is what
Yeah, and that's the only one, you
Could
get
be
one
wrong.
shot out of it.
it.
I think the ones that we had, you can get two, I thought.
And then how many of those approximately a year do you guys go through?
Well, we've been pretty lucky. We have not had to
Thing
go
is,
through
what-
anything, but ours was donated for the very specific person of officers only. All right, so, but we've never had to use it on anybody. EMS has used it several times, but,
It slowed down from what it was. I know for a while we were
Yeah.
going through it.
yeah,
pretty
so.
rapidly.
So I just went through our stuff for Chief Wilkins from Defiance Fire was gathering some information on the opioid stuff. We've had 3 overdoses since January 1 of 2021 up until last week. So, and one of those was a fentanyl overdose that the police department was actually involved in, so. And I don't know how many that they, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Scott, fire EMS?
Don't really have anything to go over. The bill to fire safety service you've seen tonight was for our RIP pack. We still have $1,400, a little over $1,400 left on that grant. So I'm gonna see what we can finish up with and get that wrapped up. The truck, as far as I know, is in production. I haven't had any late updates on it. And I don't have a delivery date yet. Any questions for me?
Have you gotten any additional volunteers? Or are you still kind of running short?
We just put the 3 on the fire side a couple months ago, and they've been working out pretty good, so.
Did you guys revisit the boundaries? for
Yes, it's pretty much up to, I have the final say.
personal discretion, basically?
And the one, of the last ones we put on, the one is just outside, and we went ahead and thought we'd try it and see what happens.
Okay.
On the EMS side, did you reposition the hours? Is that working out okay? And
It's working out okay. We really haven't changed the hours much, but we've been lucky.
make that quiet.
Don't be saying stuff like that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Park Director, I don't see Val here. So we'll skip to Fiscal Officer's report. Cheryl?
You have the fund status and cash summary reports, March Mayor's Court. You have in the packet an application by Lupitas, and I think it's for a new liquor permit. Flip over to it. That is for a new one, right?
Who's that?
That's right there.
Oh. Yep.
Yeah, they want a new one, and then the one that's on the desk tonight is for a transfer from Slattery Oil to Phil's One Stop. And if you approve it, you don't have to do anything. I'll just send the paperwork in as is. But if you have a question about it or you want to talk about it, you can set up an appointment to do that,
Okay.
if either one bothers you.
Do either one of them bother either one, any of you guys? Nope. Thanks, Cheryl.
I'll send that in tomorrow. And you have your franchise fees listing from SMTA, and a letter from MediaCom that they're having, from reading it, they're having trouble getting it out there for the public to know about the programs that they have for people who already have MediaCom and are having trouble paying their bills. And they also have a new one called the Connect to Complete program. And it's $30 a month internet service for people who can only afford that. And they just want people to know that it's available. So I don't know how much further we could go besides making it available to everybody if they want it.
Any questions for Cheryl? Thank you, Cheryl. Mayor's report. Mayor's on vacation. I don't have a report from him or anything to add, so. Anyone from the public out there, Fish, got anything to bring up or talk about? No.
I got something I spoke to Troy about, on-street parking, over on Cornelia Street, east and west Cornelia, about making both sides of Main Street, no parking on either side, so they can down by where you guys live. Just like when we run a street sweeper through there, the curb street, we'll be able to get the entire street in one pass. Plowing snow would be wonderful, because not everybody moves their vehicles. And along with fire. And I think Scott can attest to that. I don't know if it's all the fire trucks or certain trucks really can't get down that street if there's cars parked on one side of the street without going up into the curb and into a yard. So I had looked in the ordinance, Troy looked in the ordinance, and there's nothing that states that street needs to have on-street parking. So I'd like to take that street and make it no parking.
I don't agree with that. When the school was there, that whole street was parked solid with cars from the school kids. I drove a UPS truck for years down that street, never had any problem. I just don't see where it's a problem. People need a place to park.
They have driveways.
Yeah, they got more than that. They move their car every time they want to get in and out.
The only problem I see, I mean, living on that road is if you
don't
have,
have any problem, do you?
I've never seen a problem or had a problem getting in or out of my driveway. I've driven a bus down through that road before too, with cars parked there. I've never driven a fire truck or, an EMS. I know they're a little wider, but I know some of the people, you're not supposed to park in your driveway and block a sidewalk.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, if my wife and I are home and somebody tries to pull in our driveway to visit, you block the sidewalk. So a lot of those people park on the road. So you don't have a lot of options. I mean, you live across the road from me.
But you got one side that's already marked, no parking.
Right, yeah. And there's no parking so close to the stop signs both directions, and there's no parking close to the curb area.
And no parking in snow emergencies.
And there, 2 inches of snow or more, there's no parking too. So we have all those signs, and I'd say on my section, that one, just one block, I mean, I haven't had an issue the whole time I lived there for 15 years.
I've been there for 5, and I don't have any.
I lived over there when the school was there, and
Wouldn't it be solid every day?
yeah, you had to
I was
be
there for 6 months before the school moved, and it was always parked cars along the
solid.
road.
I mean, I did, it was kind of.
Those kids don't park with us.
Well, they learn it from you.
I think traffic speed's also another big thing. I mean, there's a lot of kids on that road too, and when you have no parking on either side of the street, I mean, cars on the street slow people down, and if you have no cars, it's.
I agree with that. I definitely drive slower when there could be a car, a kid could dart out because the car's parked there, you can't see. So I go slower when I see cars.
The only problem I ever have is when there's a car parked there and you have, no offense to them, an Amazon or UPS or FedEx person, they stop, they don't always pay attention that they're directly across the road from somebody else, and you stop there and you wait a while until they move their vehicle so you can keep moving. But
I would not be in favor, as a resident and as a council member, of taking parking away on those streets.
No, like I said, have you checked with the residents? I mean, I know you guys live there, and I used to live
Yes,
there.
I've
I
gotten
mean,
complaints from a resident about the parking on the opposite side. If their driveway gets blocked, it's hard for them to get in and out of their driveway.
right.
Because the car is parked directly across and they have a driveway. These people, they're parking their car on the street.
Right.
And she sent me photos of it, and it is, it's a problem. It's not, I've tried to look at it to see if there's a violation, parking violation, and I cannot find one, okay? But, if you're driving a pickup truck like they do, it does make it a little bit difficult to back out of the driveway. So,
what do you want to have a committee to bring that up, street, property, sidewalk, to discuss that, or?
Makes me no difference. If that's what you guys want to do. I don't know, is this something that has to be?
Probably, since it's gonna be a change on something like that, should be something at least the committee had input on.
Okay.
Because you're talking both blocks there, right? Both sides of Main Street, going down the whole run. I know, I had a shared driveway. I know Kip Miller and Hannah lived for the house I lived in.
Oh.
And they have a shared driveway with the Smiths next door. And, we couldn't park in the driveway. You park somebody, you constantly parking people in. That's when they had young kids and teenagers, and we had to park on the street. I mean, just in that example, everybody has different scenarios of what would work best for them as a family and stuff. And, there was no other option but to park on the street just for that purpose, so.
I'm guessing if it'd be an ordinance or street light, probably make more sense to go to street light property sidewalk committee to bring that up, and which would be Mr. Beverly, Zegley, and myself. So we'll schedule a date when Mr. Beverly's available to set something up with him. We can talk about it. So, is there anything else that needs to come in front of council?
Motion to adjourn.
Man, good job.
I second it.
Tried earlier.
Got a first and second, roll call.
Who's the second?
Tony?
Class of '04.
Barth?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Hooper?
Yes.
Next meeting will be on May 2nd.
Gavel.